are in spring. The second big snowstorm is finally off and the temperature's going up. So what you see, this is strawberries, and I have a covering over them, actually 2 coverings on it now. I had 4 on it going into winter. When the first thaw came, I took 2 coverings off. Because of the wind and the cold, 4 coverings I think is enough protection for them. But now, the snow is all off, and it's going to be 65 today. 65 with 2 coverings on heats things up too much for the crowns of the strawberries. They're sensitive. Temperature is everything. So I'm going to take off one of the remaining 2 covers. That will leave just one thin row cover to help keep heat in, help keep the wind off the crowns, help it from drying out. However, it's going to get down very cold at night and freeze very hard. I'll have to put the second covering back on.
And how much protection does a layer give you?
1 to 2 degrees.
And the maximum amount of protection, no matter how many covers you have on, is what?
I don't know.
I mean, can you get it down below to protect it at 20 degrees?
Yeah,
or
but you're going to start taking away the oxygen and putting too much heaviness on.
Too much weight.
If you look at nature, it puts a little snow on top for protection. It's more about the wind than anything else.
So what happens if the wind gets at it?
It kills the crowns.
Because it dries them out, or it blows them off?
Blueberry twigs.
Okay.
If it's too cold and that wind chill comes along, it kills the twig and it kills the bud on the strawberry plant. So, right now we're worried about heat.
Okay.
And we also leave that first row cover on for, you can see that there's 2 on here.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And it will let more sun in too. When you got 2 covers on, you're taking away probably 15 to 20% of the sun. So we'll take that off so more sun can get in. If it gets into the 70s, I'm going to take it all off because it gets just too hot under there.
And that can burn the plants.
So remember, we're April, what are we now? April 9th. So we can still get snow, we can still get hard freezes. It's just a temperature and protection game. All right, so you can see all these row covers are held down by tons and tons of rocks. So it's a game of moving rocks, or you can buy little tiny bags that you would put dirt or sand into, which are, they're plastic and they biodegrade. Rocks don't. But it is a backbreaker if you have a lot of fields of rocks.
Because you're moving the rocks around to take them off and put them back on.
Put them on. So
Yeah.
Here we go. I think last year we had 300 rocks that had to be taken off at the beginning of the day and put back on at the end of the day. But what I'm going to do, I'm not taking the whole thing off. I'm just going to fold it towards the middle. That way, if it gets cold, I just have to fold it back towards the outside layer by layer. Because 2 days from now, I might have to put this right back on again. So it's just, we go around this thing once, getting the rocks off, fold it towards the middle, take a few rocks into the middle to hold that down. Now, I should mention that wind is your arch nemesis here. Wind is a battle. Most of the time in the spring it's really windy, and fighting with these row covers is a tremendous job. So trying to get the rocks on and off without this thing taken off is difficult. And I have spent an afternoon in the maple orchard cleaning and come back and found an entire field of row cover had lifted up into the sky, had hovered over top and went over the mountain.
Like a flying carpet.
I never knew what happened. I came back, all the rocks were there, but none of the cover was there, and then I found out what had happened. So we're pulling row covers off one by one according to the temperatures going up, and we need to let more light through. So the first thing is to get the covers down to one cover. Then the weeds are going to take off like crazy because it's still warm and they're protected. The weeds grow faster than the strawberries. So going to have to spend a lot of time on our hands and knees pulling out weeds. I'll come through with a mulch and tuck it in around these plants. By tucking the mulch around the plants, it keeps them from getting dirty. Because if it pours and rains hard, your berries get all dirty and gritty, and nobody wants those. So there's a lot of work once the covers are off. If you don't keep at it, you'll end up with a lot of weeds in the berries. You'll end up with a lot more insect pressure that you don't want, and the weeds will take away from the size of the strawberries and the moisture. The trouble here on this farm is that all this needs to be done when we're finishing up with the maple sugaring, and the maple sugaring, the cleanup is several weeks, and that's pretty intensive, being on the mountain cleaning lines and whatnot. So we try and fit this in when we can, and my guess is these are going to be very early this year because I'm seeing a lot of green. The leaves look great. I'd be a little nervous about when these start flowering because I don't think it'll be long, and we have really a couple months, April and May, that these are going to be flowering. And so,
Before they would be ripe to pick.
well, I'm afraid they're going to be ripening when there is a frost danger, a lot of freezes. And last year we had that. We had 18 nights that were blossom killers.
And no pollinators. Talk about that
pollinators,
quickly.
no blossom killers. We'll talk about that more later.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good for now.